Hi everyone, Patricia Worby here, Alchemy Therapies. And this week in my series of conversations with practitioners and people who use the kind of methods I use, the kind of mind-body medicine that I use, I'm delighted to welcome my colleague and friend, Nikki Emerton, she's a master NLP practitioner, life coach and hypnotherapist, which I think, Nikki, was where we kind of got to know each other was that we have very common interests. I can't remember exactly how long ago we met, but I know it was a sort of instant rapport. And I know that you're involved in a new project at the moment, and I really wanted to ask you all about it. So can you tell us what's going on for you at the moment?
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for having me as part of this series of information and programs designed to help people understand exactly how the mind and body can influence each other. And what we found, myself and another master NLP practitioner, is that we were seeing more and more children who were displaying anxiety, really not being very resilient, having low self-esteem and lacking in confidence. So what we decided to do is that we would get in early enough so that we could make a difference, make a change, teach children how their mind and bodies connect at a really early age, so that we could hopefully reduce the amount of anxiety and depression that we're seeing exponential explosion, or it seems that way, in the media. So we designed Happy Confident Kids, which is the latest and newest project. We only came up with it September last year. And since then, we have 6 practitioners. We're in pretty much, we can cover the whole of the United Kingdom, not Wales yet, and also Switzerland. Wow. And what it is we use neuro-linguistic play-based therapy, a lot of coaching, to be able to teach children the 3 core skills of emotional state management, which is to be confident, let go of worries and anxieties, and be calm. Because they're all skills, and we felt that if you had those 3 skills, then you'd be more resilient, you'd be more able to deal with those unexpected occurrences that life naturally throws at us. So what we've developed is a series of, we either do workshops in schools with the whole class, or we can do specialised courses, which are a maximum of 6 children, which are more specialised. So we have 2 versions of that. One is for confidence building, resolving anxiety, and building self-esteem, and the other one is the transition between year 6 to year 7, so primary to secondary school. Very, very new, and we are creating new aspects of it all the time. So next year we'll have exams, we'll have specific workshops to help students be able to go into exams and be able to achieve their potential, so they can go in with confidence, they can go in with knowledge of their abilities, rather than what seems to be happening, which is a lot of anxiety around not being good enough or not doing well enough, or too much of an emphasis on a single moment in their lives, which seems to be clouding their judgment.
Okay.
Because you know very much with the mind-body connection that if you're in a state of flux, you can't concentrate, you're not available to learn. Trying to start stepping before that even happens and make a difference at a really young age, so hopefully we will see a reduction in anxiety type behaviours in children.
Wow, amazing work, and so needed right now. I know anxiety's been in the news recently, and it's exploding in school-age children. I know that. I don't work with children, but I do work with young adults, and a lot of them tell me it all started in school, and a lot of my friends were the same, and we were all self-harming and panic attacks, and it is unbelievable how we've piled on the pressure on kids and not taught them. And I think this is what you said was really important. It's a learnt skill.
Yes.
It's presented in the media, isn't it, as a sort of a disease, anxiety, organic disease that comes on you randomly. You're just unlucky if you get it. But actually, it's what you said. It's the absence of knowing how to modulate their own responses in terms of getting over fixated on certain things and not seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So what a wonderful thing to be doing. And how's it going down? I mean, how are you finding it? Was it as expected?
Yes, we did some pilot schemes back in the autumn of last year, and from there, the 3-week ones that we did when we first started off, there was a resounding 60% improvement in confidence. The more recent ones we did, this gets better. The more recent ones we did a self-reporting questionnaire from the children, and we did that pilot in schools, and 100% of them said that they were able to be more confident, not totally confident, but more confident.
More confident.
80% that they felt that they could resolve their anxieties, not completely, but were beginning to gain evidence of them being able to do that. And 100% of the children felt that they could be more calm when they wanted to be. So we were really excited about that, because it just showed that techniques that we were teaching, which are all neuro-linguistic based, work.
Well, it's a wonderful corroboration of the methods you're using. And kids, of course, are such a wonderful, they're not so jaded by cynicism, and the idea that nothing can change, and they're still moldable in some ways. And so I think to get those results are, you can't say it's placebo. You can't say, oh, well, they've been influenced by, reading something or wanting to get better. I think, the results speak for themselves. And if that was a drug, we'd be hearing it shouted from the rooftops right now, wouldn't we? Results like that are, extraordinary. So tell me, for those people who don't know about NLP, do you want to just give us a little bit of an idea of what it is and how it works?
Sure, yes. So neurolinguistics literally means mind language. It's looking at the thoughts that you have and how they affect your behaviours. And the NLP play-based therapy, what we do is we use combinations of coaching, so identifying children's inner voice, and so there's a bit of CBT in there as well, I guess. Using visualization, telling stories, so a little bit of hypnosis, not hypnosis because we don't do hypnotherapy in schools, but our subconscious loves making sense of the world through stories. So we tell some stories around children letting go of anxieties. So you put the 3 of them together, and then we play games. We play a lot of games around cementing those experiences, being able to use those skills that they're learning. So there's quite a bit of repetition to allow the children to really invent new skills. And we also use a technique in NLP called anchoring. And everybody does this all the time. So if you were to imagine that you were holding a bottle of suntan lotion, you need to open the lid and breathe in, then it would take you back to the beach or to a holiday. That technique of being able to anchor a feeling. And the ones that we teach the children is usually confidence. And then they have a choice between being happy and calm. So if a child is naturally quite fast-paced, then we would guide them towards choosing calm. But if they're more considered, more conscientious, then we're probably naturally quite calm. Then we shift them towards choosing happy. So it's this emotional states that they need most for themselves. Think about it in something called a magic hoop, and because it's magic, then love it. And then it's all very personalised with colours, with shapes, also visualisation and imagination to make that their own. Because it's magic, they can carry it wherever they want. They can carry it behind their ear, in their pockets, up their sleeve, in their shoe. It can be a bracelet around their wrist. And whenever they need some more confidence or happiness or calm, then they can get their magic hoop out and they can feel that way immediately. And that's probably one of the key skills that we've had the most feedback from all the children. And the other one is called the Tower of Power, where we take foam breeze blocks and we get them to build up a huge tower, and in every one of the blocks is one of their anxieties or worries. And then what they have the opportunity to do is we teach them something called the power stance, which is inspired by Amy Cuddy, which is to tell your body how confident you want to feel. And they get the choice, do they want to keep these worries or anxieties, or do they want to get rid of them? And then they get to smash the tower down.
Whoa.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah, I bet they do. It's interesting, some of the techniques you're using there I use with adults as well, and I'm sure you do, but The idea of storytelling, of this subliminal information input into our subconscious, I think we underplay that in life. You know, we don't use stories so much anymore, and we certainly don't do them positively. Most of the stories we hear, if you think about what you're subjected to in the news and over media, social media, are stories of dysfunction and disarray, you know. So to actually rebalance things by telling stories of powerfulness and hope must be very profound for children to hear, because I think they're bombarded with negative information right now. And I love the idea of the magic hoop. I use a magic mirror actually in one of my interventions with people. I often get adults to imagine they're looking in a mirror, and they, first of all, they see themselves as they are now, and then we have a little knob at the side, because it's magic, obviously, and we turn the knob, and it adjusts the picture like on a TV screen to how they want to be, however it is, you know, whether it's them doing a new job, or them in a new relationship, or them well if they're not well. And then I encourage them to step into the mirror and try it on for size. And it's amazing how that shift is bodily felt and translates into their abilities when they, you know, come out of the therapy room and actually go back into their normal lives. Because we are operating on a subconscious level to a large proportion of, you know, our brain's ability, aren't we? It's probably 85 to 90%. So I love the idea of magic and stories and play. That's the other thing you're using, it seems to me, but in a very directed way. You've obviously thought about this a lot, how you were going to do the intervention. So it's no accident. You obviously sat down with, who else are you doing with it? Is it sort of, how many of you are there?
So the co-founder of Happy Confident Kids is Laura Dumbleton-Jones, and she's a fellow master NLP practitioner, hypnotherapist, life coach. We're both lightning process practitioners.
Oh, yes, okay.
So we got together, and we both identified that when we were seeing younger and younger children, and the interventions that we were doing on a one-to-one basis, we kept repeating themselves over what we were doing. So that's how we put it all together and made a conscious decision about what is the first thing you need to teach a child who is anxious. Well, you need to teach them confidence. The next step is to be able to let go of their anxieties. Themselves. And then the third thing was to teach calm. We looked at different ways of doing that, which came first, and we decided that was the best structure to be able to. That's on the 3-week specialised course. In the 50-minute workshop, it's slightly different. We teach the power stance, which is how to tell your body how you want to feel. And then we teach other skills around inner voices, what makes a great coach, limiting beliefs, and we get rid of those as well, and change that for something more useful. And other games as well to help them identify that actually the voice that they're going to hear most is their own voice, and what's it saying. If it's not useful, or if you wouldn't say it to a friend, then why are you saying it to yourself? And do you want to change that? So looking at their idols or their heroes and saying, actually, if your favorite pop star was about to go on stage, what would that person be saying? Or if your superhero is Iron Man or Wonder Woman or the Avengers, then what would they be saying to themselves if they're about to come across a situation which might be a bit tricky, dangerous, or they might be worried about? What would they be saying to themselves? Focus is very much on building self-esteem and self-confidence, and that worked really well in a group session with a whole class. So we did that with the entirety of Year 7s of a private school in Warwickshire, and that was amazing.
And how are the teachers responding? Because I'm quite interested to hear, you know, obviously if that, you must have had to persuade them to try this, and, you know, how did you get a foothold, and what's the reaction been? So
the foothold was the pilots. It was very much an idea. We think it's brilliant, but we need to test drive it. We need to check in with the children to see if there's as much value as we think it has. So that's how we got a foothold, and then of course we gained evidence that this actually does work. And put us on to the next step of where we are now, which is beginning to promote it and advertise it now that we've gained sufficient evidence that it's robustly consistent in its application. It wasn't just a one-off. So that's where we are at the moment. It's beginning to roll it out. But we've had several successful courses in the Salisbury area where I am, area, and also in Switzerland.
Now how did you get into, what's the Switzerland connection? That seems a bit random.
She's a fellow lightning process practitioner.
Oh, okay. So she or he doing it there.
Yeah, in French. So we already have our leaflets in English and French.
Oh, that's good. Yes. So
yeah.
Well, just from the point of view of, there's so much out there that's Anglo-centric, and we don't tend to think of how language affects people, and translating into different language, will that make any difference?
It was that was quite a sticking point, translating the neuro-linguistic kind of language into French, and it ended up the practitioner doing it essentially, because even great translators weren't able to translate in the correct context.
Yes.
So that was an interesting challenge to overcome.
Yes, I imagine it was. I've not had to do anything not in my own language. So, and we tend to take it for granted that everybody listens and understands English, and of course it's not always the case. And the language of therapy, actually, it's very interesting, because French, the French have a long history of developing sort of psychotherapeutic interventions. Some of the first hypnotherapists were French. I remember that from my training. And so some of the wording must have developed from them and been translated into English, probably. Mesmerism, was he French? I can't remember. But, there were lots of people that have developed this idea, and obviously German, Freud and so on.
Yeah.
Some of these ideas. But everybody tends to think that you have to do it in English, but that's clearly not the case. So that's wonderful. And I just wonder, how's it affecting you when you go in and do this work? Are you coming out feeling more hopeful and, more positive in your general outlook?
Yes, well, yes, absolutely. It's so I won't lie. Some days it's a bit crazy, and I have to plan in time for me to be able to rebalance myself. Generally, it's amazing. You do feel, you do come out with such an amazing buzz, and not just with happy, confident kids, but as you know, working with clients one-to-one, when you see such a transformation, and you know that client then has the skills that they need to be able to go forwards more positively, more resilient, and more able to live life, whereas in the past maybe they've struggled.
Yes.
It's rewarding, isn't that?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I love to watch people transforming, and often it can be quite quick. The idea that you have to be in therapy for years and years to, seeing your therapist 2 or 3 times a week is just an old model. And these days, with the tools we now have, I think give people the right information, and their brains are able to make the adjustment fairly quickly. I think it's a lot of what you said. It's the beliefs, because the beliefs that you're running are usually programmed from an early age. I'm not good enough. No one will love me if I'm different, or I need to work hard to prove myself. These are all beliefs that we all absorb, and I think it's fantastic to be able to challenge those before the child becomes the adult, because obviously I tend to end up with the adults who have not challenged their previously held beliefs, and so have more established difficulties. Because the longer you hold on to those beliefs and operate according to them, I think, the more the life begins to lose its trajectory, relevant to who you are and what you're here to do, your life purpose. So it's great to get in there early on and show kids that you can change this, and that it isn't a lifelong condition. Like I heard this week, actually, there was a bit of discussion with colleagues online this morning about there was a BBC program about anxiety this week, apparently.
It was on last night. I watched.
Yeah.
I watched a section of it. Where I think it was Nadia, Anxiety and Me.
Oh, Anxiety and Me, that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the program, but the discussion was that according to the program, it's a lifelong condition. Yeah. And excuse me laughing, but it's not funny, obviously. It's a serious matter to be stating that, but I just find it so ludicrous that we interpret the world as fixed. Yes. And that this medical model which says you have a problem in your brain or your heart or your lungs or whatever, and it's stuck and it's just a malfunctioning part, and there's nothing you can do except, swallow the pill and suffer.
I kind of switched off at the point where their experts said there are only two ways, and that is medication or CBT.
Oh, lovely.
I have a diploma in CBT, and the skills are valuable.
They're valuable, yes.
But it's not the be all and end all.
And it's not always the best treatment, depending on.
Yeah, and it takes the longest because your CBT tends to work with people who are highly analytical, so operating from their conscious mind only, which, as you've mentioned already, is only about 15%.
Yes.
Because they've been so accustomed to working from that aspect, you have to then meet them in their world or their version of how they operate before you can then gently shift them into, actually, you have another part of your brain which is way more powerful, works way harder, is responsible for so much more. And if you do that, then you can achieve so much more. And you tend to go a lot of the other limiting stuff that your client came to you in the first place. So at that point I kind of went, I know where this is going.
Yeah, it's the same argument as is used with cancer, with diabetes, with all of our modern chronic diseases. It's the medical model that says the problem is in the organ or the tissue that's exhibiting the problem, whereas we know that there's nothing that's not connected, so there's always a systemic issue. And the only solution is to give your power over to an expert who has the pill or the surgery to intervene to change this malfunctioning part. But the body, I know, and that is really much more complex and much more intelligent than that. And often disease is a response to poor information. And I think what you've said is you're changing the input, right? Change the input, change the output.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, anxiety is the output to poor information that says I'm no good at this, I can't manage it, I'm hopeless, helpless. Yeah. So, I mean, congratulations on, and what a wonderful thing to be doing, and fabulous work, very much needed. I think we need a UK rollout, if not the rest of the world.
We would love to. We have practitioners waiting in America, but it just wouldn't function if we rolled it out that fast.
No, you need time to hone the interventions and find out what works, but fabulous work. And I'm so all power to you for setting that up. That's amazing. I'll look forward to hearing how it goes. Maybe in, say, I don't know, a year's time, we might interview you again, see how busy you still are and what you're doing now, because I know you're very active and active, not just in the work that you're currently doing, but you work one-to-one as well, don't you, with clients? So you're doing all of that at the same time. And me too, trying to juggle it all. It's hard, isn't it, for us to balance all this in our lives, the new and keeping things going as well. But I think doing it with inspiration, knowing that we can bring, I want to use that word specifically, to bring spirit back into the work we do and the power that we have to change our lives. And if there's anything I want to, put over to people, it's that everybody can do this stuff. It's not limited to, the lucky children that are seeing you, of course, but anyone with the right help can make these changes. I think you'd agree. It's not it's not, I was going to say it's not magic, but of course we use magic, but it's not. It's not.
It was like magic to the
Yeah,
people that are experiencing it when they have
yeah.
such a huge shift in those limiting beliefs.
Mm.
It just seems like a whole weight has been lifted from their entire lives, and they begin to realize how much they can achieve.
Yes, yes. I can't say it better, really. I think that's an apt moment to finish. Thanks very much for talking to us today. I'll obviously be looking forward to hearing how it goes in the future, and we'll hopefully come back together again at some point and see how things are moving for you. But thanks again, Nikki. Wonderful work you're doing, and hope to speak with you soon.